There we go. Okay. I wanted to record it so that as long as I can know afterwards how to get it down and send it to you that way, because I'm going to go through kind of quickly on my process when I do comps. I know Brienne has a property and you have one as well, Michelle, which is a little bit different because it, you know, it's not like in a kind of conventional subdivision type thing. So I'm going to share my screen here and just kind of dive in. So screen share. So the first thing that I typically do, hold on, where's my, there we go. Hold on. The first thing that I typically do when I get into having to show, I need to move my toolbar here. How do I do that? Get out of the way. There it goes. Okay. Is I have the address and I want to make sure that I go first into monsoon taxes. So when you're in, and again, I'm going to flip around a little bit. If you have any questions, just holler at me to slow down or stop or explain something. But I'm going to assume that you both kind of have a feel and idea for what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to get into a lot of detail like I normally would. But from Flex MLS, either in the menu here or I already have it on Monsoon, click on Monsoon, it takes you to the tax record. So first thing you want to do is find the actual property. So in this case, this Farana Court is the one that Brienne has that she needs to do. So this is how it would take, sorry. Flip here, you just plug the address in. You don't need to put a whole like city and all that. Just plug that in like that and it will bring up. So a couple of things here you want to look at is one, make sure that the person you're talking to is the seller. In this case, it is one person, Linda Heller. Sometimes it might be in a trust or something like that. So this can give you some detailed information when you're talking with the seller on what that looks like. I can see on this one that this person lives in Kansas or their tax mailing address is Kansas and that's non-primary. So either a rental or a second home is what that tells us. It's just taxed different. This also will show me, I need to hide that, hide, okay. Up here, the subdivision, so College Park, that's going to be important when we go back into MLS and do a search on College Park properties. But you can look at the map here, and mine might look a little bit different than when you go into your tax records because you can modify it yourself. I think under this little doohickey thing, you can do preferences, but you can modify it to make it look how you want. So you could see the properties that have come up. These are closed. These blue ones are closed properties. I think this is a canceled. Oh, temporary off market. So you can see kind of what's out there. This is also then going to show you, here's the legal description. So when you're writing offers or you are writing a listing agreement, the legal description is this right here. Just copy paste. So right here, it tells me the deed history that Linda Heller purchased it in 2011. And if you were in the area or you kind of remember what happened then, that was basically the lowest part of our market was 2010, 2011. So she got a great price on it. Cash purchase, 120 price. You could see where this Gale person, it's a trustee sale. So it actually, unfortunately, the bank, it reverted back to the bank, which was somebody purchased it on the courthouse steps for $77,900. What a great deal, right? And then they fixed it up and sold it to Linda. Down here, if there's any loan histories on it, you would see whatever the final, whatever the last loan is against the property. It kind of gives you an idea of where the sellers are at. In this case, that should be free and clear unless the seller has like a HELOC or something attached to the property, which we wouldn't know unless title was done. But then down here, about the structure information, it's going to show you the square footage, the year it was built, does it have a pool. You can, in this case, you know the builder, which is good when you go to list it. You can add, sometimes it doesn't show the builder name, but you can add the builder name in the listing. So it gives you a little bit of information here that you may not know normally. I would scroll back up here. First thing I do is I do a tax comp. So over in here is where it says go to comp for taxes. So this is going to be strictly based on whatever tax information is available. The main reason that I like to look at this, one, it's quicker and it kind of can give you a general rounded view. The other one is that the tax comp may show something that was sold like for sale by owner that would not be in the MLS. So that's good information to have, as well as like new builds, that if it's in an area, and maybe Michelle, this will happen with yours, is if it's in an area where there's new builds, oftentimes the new build is not in the MLS. If you just go to the builder and you buy it from there, so it would show in the tax comps as well. So first off, I look at this criteria. I do look within 1 mile. I mean, this has given us a whole bunch, so I'm going to narrow this down to maybe a half a mile. I do like to go within the last 3 months. That's what an appraiser is going to do. They're going to look 90 days, sale history, possibly out a mile radius from the property if they can't find anything specific. I'm not going to pay attention to lot square footage. Building square footage, I want to go about 10%. Again, that's something appraiser, that's how the appraiser is going to look at it. I want the same number of stories, so we're comparing single to single, 2 to 2, and then built within about 5 years of each other. Now, an appraiser, when they go to do this kind of stuff, hold on, I need to go let my dog out real quick. So get caught up, talk amongst yourself for a sec. Ted, come on. Hey, Ted.
Michelle, so are you like brand new?
A year. I've been doing this a year, but I just switched over to becoming independent. I came from a team, so I'm on my own now.
Got it.
Yeah. So unfortunately, while I was on the team, though I had quite a few deals, I just never learned what they did behind the scenes. And now that I'm on my own, this is all new to me.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah, I would just, I'd get the deals and then hand it over and never see it again. So unfortunately, I'm relearning or learning, I guess, for the first time a year later.
Hey,
all right, I'm back.
Okay.
So tax comps. Within 5 years, an appraiser is going to look at approximately that within 5 years. They also do adjustments. I don't play with adjustments on what that might mean. So they might adjust a property to kind of make it work based on number of years, but I don't know what those numbers are, so I don't like to do it. So once you do what you have here, so I have within a half a mile, last 3 months, I'm going to hit apply criteria. So there's still quite a bit. I don't need that many comps really. I'm going to even go down closer to the property. Because see how I really don't want to cross busy streets. So see how Warner is right down here. It kind of helps to know the areas for one. I can zoom out a little bit. I just want this little area. And if you're familiar with some of the areas, I know this particular area, this is pretty much the same age and stuff of houses. So I'm going to then come down here to the details of those. Now this number 6, I'm going to remove that because it's really on the other side of Warner. I don't care about it. So I'm going to come down to number 6 and just deselect it. Not recommended for comparison. Not sure why. Sometimes it will say that it like just closed or something, but I'm not really sure with this bulk. It might be a warehouse kind of a bank-owned thing, but I'm going to deselect that as well. Because, 265, this is showing what the last sale was in the last 3 months. So this one here, this bulk thing at 265, it would bring down our other numbers if you kind of look at these. So I'm going to deselect that. I believe that to be some sort of bulk foreclosure or kind of warehouse type thing. So we're going to get rid of it. Okay, the square footage right here and the lot size are going to be pretty comparable. Now this is the subject property, Verana Court. I believe that was on like a corner lot or kind of a pie-shaped lot. So it is a little bit bigger lot size. Not huge in comparison to the other ones here. They're all pretty decent size. So that's not going to throw a lot of difference in the values. So at this point, I mean, you could almost visually see, oh, the other one I wanted, so this one has a pool, yes. The only other one with a pool is these two, Los ARMLS and this Arrowhead one, which it's a little bit lower price. So that's all right. We'll take a look at those. Pools, at the end of the day, I don't really just compare pools to no pools, because pools really value-wise is maybe 7 to 10 grand. So you can almost in your head kind of manually figure out what that might mean. So here at this point, I would take this and see up here where it shows options. I'm going to come down and say comp summary report and then hit PDF. So this is one of the pages that I take to the seller in the listing presentation. Okay, now I gotta go let the dog back in, so talk amongst yourself. Daddy, come on. Go, get back in here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I have a dog door. I used to have to do that all the time.
I have a dog too.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, like-
sleeping
Oh,
next to me.
we have a
Yeah.
new foster puppy. It's, oh my God, I forgot how much work they are.
Okay, yeah, these aren't puppies. 14 and a half, 15 and a half, I think she is. No, 14 and a half, and 13 is the other one.
Oh, wow.
We don't have doggy doors at this house, so we have to let them in and out. Okay, so you have this one page, so it shows the subject property, and then here's the number of the properties around the area. And it comes with it up here. Price per square foot. I know, Michelle, you said your seller was kind of looking at that, but that's the number. If you go price per square foot, average price $323 is what this is showing in here. I mainly kind of look down here and look at these sale price. Now, I'm very subjective right now because I haven't looked at the house. I have no idea what the house looks like. I don't know if you have, Brianne, but you could see just offhand, it's probably right around 300 if you can push to get that higher 320, 330 price, depends on what the condition of the property is. So
Hey,
that's
Diane.
one page. Any questions on that?
I didn't see that page. Your screen was frozen.
Oh no.
I haven't seen anything you're talking about.
Is it my screen or your screen?
No, I
That's
think
frozen.
mine still is on the monsoon, the map.
Yeah, mine too.
Oh, so the screen probably didn't, it's still showing the monsoon.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why it would not. Let me get back to my meeting.
So I do have a couple questions. So when you
I guess
first,
can you see it now?
oh yeah,
Yes.
Okay, so this is the PDF that it prints after I select that you got the monsoon thing, right?
Right.
Okay. Go ahead, Brianne.
so when you first came into the to monsoon and it showed the map with all the different properties, did you already input something in order for that to show, or that just automatically showed like recent properties?
All I inputted was let me make sure I'm sharing the right thing here. Oh, if that's the same thing. Now I know what I need to, I have to do like a new share. Comp summary, monsoon. Okay, here we go. You're talking about this map here with the properties?
Yeah.
So no, I have to, I've already plugged in your address in the tax screen, and then hit comp. If I were in the other screen, this go to comp. And then I changed this comparison stuff to modify it so that it narrows it down.
Okay.
And then I got these numbers. And remember, I deselected a couple that I didn't want to include in there.
Right.
And then you went back up top and you hit, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, right here, I dropped down, I did the comp summary report, and then I just hit to a PDF. And then that's what brought me to the, this, I think,
So
to
then once,
this PDF.
okay. So then once we have like the, you know, the average, what we would suggest, say, let's say he made like a bunch of improvements. You just kind of increase the price from there. I guess that's where,
Yeah, yes and no. So this is just one of the pieces. The main comparable is going to be in MLS,
okay.
which now that we've done this, then I would then go to my MLS. So I go back to my, I don't know why I keep going there, sorry. New share, I wanna go back to my browser screen. So I would go back over here to MLS, create it. Now, so this is how I do a comparable in MLS. So I start fresh. First, I need to make sure that this is on residential. I do quick search. Now your setup might be different than mine, but in the menu, under this search, it says quick search. I have a star here so that it shows up on this top line. So I hit quick search residential. Now it's going to start showing me everything until I zero down on some of these details. Now remember, I came over here. I have this comp. You know, if it were me, I would save it somewhere and all that. But I'm going to go back to the tax because I want to pick up the subdivision if there is a subdivision. Because first off, I'm going to come over to MLS. I'm going to scroll down again. Some of these are based on, it's either going to default to some stuff, or you might, if the subdivision, which in my case, it's right here. If you don't see it on this left-hand side, come down here where it says add a field to search and just type subdivision and just click it and it'll add it over here. So I'm going to paste in here College Park, and you'll see I'm going to go from 16,000 to 10.
Nice.
Well, for now. Well, that's good though. So right here in the status, what I want to see in the status is I'm going to highlight everything down to close. So all from active, UCB, coming soon. So now it's going to be a really huge number because the close, I don't have a date on there yet. So once I choose, I don't know why it keeps flipping back there. Stop it. Once I choose the statuses, right under here, there's this link. Just hit see all and select date ranges. If you hit close of escrow, it's going to default back 6 months. So it's still 67 of those. And there's some, see on the map here where there's different areas. There's some like out in Peoria. Obviously, I don't want those. So here's another little kind of trick thing that you want to do. First off, I'm going to make this, I'm going to do February 01 of 2020. And because we already know the boundaries of where this particular property is off of this Alma School in Warner, right? So I'm going to zero in as close as I can to this. And I'm just going to draw a map. So it's going to get rid of all of those other areas. I don't know, there must be a bunch of college parks around. So I'm already on the map screen on here. These little buttons down here, and if you're not familiar with how to do all this stuff in ARMLS, I would recommend you go to ARMLS.com, and in the top right, there's, I think it's called Learning or something like that. And they do have a lot of past webinars that, you know, whenever you're available, about how to do searches, how to draw maps, all of that kind of stuff, so you can get familiar and comfortable with moving around ARMLS. But for this purpose, again, this is being recorded, so you can, I'll send it out to you today so you can kind of poke back through if you need to. But I'm going to take here, I'm going to hit this little button, I'm basically going to come here. I'm going to hold it and then release or double click or something. So I only want to see properties in here. So at this point, I'm just narrowing down what I want. So I can come over here now and remove this College Park because it's going to give me all of this. And I still have 42. That's a lot. I'm trying to get down as close as possible to the square footage and the most apples to apples against this property as I can. Sold, actives, under contract pendings, sold within like the last 3 months or so. So I'm going to come here. First thing I want to do, I want to make sure that this dwelling type is showing me single family detached, which it should for the most part. I'm not sure if this area had, there's some townhouses kind of around, might be on the other side of Alma School or further south, but you want to make sure that it's not, your area isn't picking up anything other than the same type of property. I am going to come to, next thing is I'll do square footage. So an appraiser is going to take plus or minus 10% square footage. So on the tax record, I already know, I came down here and we know that the square footage on this is 1378. I'm assuming that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Do you know that for sure, Brianne?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Because sometimes bedrooms can make a difference if you're comparing a 4-bedroom house to a 6-bedroom house, even though the square footage might be the same. The number of bedrooms will have an added value to the property. So that's something to look at. So I'm going to take 1378. I'm going to subtract 10%. So subtract about 138. So I'm going to go back over to MLS. There we go. I muted myself for a minute. And I'm say the minimum of 1240 up to 1378 plus 138, about 1500. So now you can see this.
I got a quick question.
Less. Okay, go ahead, Brianne. You were asking something, or Michelle?
Yeah, me.
Okay.
What's the value of an extra bedroom?
You know, I don't know a dollar amount. Maybe $5 grand, $3 to $5 grand ish.
Okay.
Depending on, you know, is it a, you know, there's obviously a lot of variables there. Is it a master suite that it's extra?
Mm-hmm.
Does it have a Jack and Jill bathroom? Does it have a walk-in closet? You know, there's
right.
Is it huge? There's a lot of variables, but I think for the most part, like I said at the beginning, I don't typically do a lot of adjustments. I can kind of in my head figure.
Mm-hmm.
Same with number of garage spaces. So
Okay.
some garages you'll have 2-car, and the only thing available to comp it is a 3-car garage. And how much is that 3rd car worth?
Okay.
That could be $5 grand, 5, 6, 7 grand.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay, so now we're down to 17. 1240 to 1500 square foot. I'm going to come in here, and we know this is single level, so I'm going to make sure that the maximum is a single level. I don't think there's 2 stories in this area, but never know. So now it's still at 17. Year built should also all be about the same. This one was built in 1979, so I'm going to go like 1978 to say 1982. And yeah, we only lost one. I think they're all in that same average area. Does this one have a garage?
Yes, and it actually has like an extra garage.
So it shows right here just a covered carport. See how the tax records say it's carport? So the garage was done sometime since the purchase, since the tax records show it.
Right.
Who knows if that could come up to say, hey, you know, who did it? Did she do it, or was it a garage when she bought it?
I believe they did it. I'll have to double check. I have like a list of questions I'm gonna have to ask them.
So we can look at the MLS. I can go ahead and open this in a new tab. This is the MLS from the last listing. So we'll see what that one says. The looks like it was already enclosed.
Oh, yeah.
So this is from the sale in 2011. See how it's already enclosed. Mm-hmm. So, which is good, because then she wouldn't have to be worrying about whether or not she had a permit for it or not.
Right.
Okay. So that's something I know that this area sometimes has just carport. So a garage obviously is going to be more value than a carport. So I'm going to go ahead and show garage space. I'm still 16 is too many, and I still have 16. All right then. So because I really don't want that many. I'm looking here. We got 1 active. These yellows are pending. 2 active. The rest are sold. I could probably get closer. What's this pending? Is this one by her house? This one right here. What's her address? Verano. I'm sorry. Trying to think of. Fine. Where is Verona? Does one of you guys see it on here? Let me look at the tax map where she was at. El Prado. Bear with me.
Oh, I see. It's on the right.
Over. Okay, so she'd be closest to this one over here. Okay. Like this property right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to not have 16, that's for sure. So I'm probably gonna do this. I'm gonna edit the rectangle and kind of move it in. I don't know.
And did you say the green were active listings?
The green is active, yes.
Okay.
Active or UCB, it could be.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to actually look at the list and see if there's anything. The other thing I would probably do is a pool thing. So, yeah, so those 2 actives are both under contract. I mean, this is I want to say no HOA. Oh, this is a villa. I don't want a villa. So this one I'll probably not include. I can take the square footage here and look at, so 1250, hers was 13 something, right? 1328.
Yeah, 13 something.
I don't know why these villas are showing up. I don't know that I want those. 287, 304, 340. I bet that one's going to be really updated. Is hers updated, Brianne?
Not a ton. Like,
Okay.
they've done small improvements, but nothing huge.
Okay.
But the problem is he thinks he can get like 360
Ooh.
house, and I'm like, there is no way. So I'm trying to get like some solid.
I'm not even seeing anything close to that number.
I know. He's like, it has a big lot, has 2 garages. He just goes on and on. So
Is it a detached second garage?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's like a, like a shop type.
Shop.
Garage.
Is it permitted? Hopefully.
I will have to ask him. I'm sure it is.
And how big is it?
I don't know.
So find out how big it is and what he paid for it, because he could, that could be added to the value.
Okay.
As far as a detached shop. We just need to make sure it's permitted, because sometimes those can run 50 grand. I mean, I sold one over in my old house that had a shop on it, and I want to say they valued it probably around 50.
Okay.
So he could, yeah.
Okay.
So outside of that, you'll have to just kind of manually figure that in. I've come in here, grabbed a couple closed ones. Where did my UCB, I didn't want to show them this villa thing. I don't think that, where's my other UCB? There it is. 305. You want to show them what the active is, and that's going to show us how long. So if I click on this, even though the square footage was less, I want to look at how quickly they got an offer on it. So this was immediately, right?
Okay.
2 days. This other one, even though it's one of the villas that I don't really want to use, I mean, that one's 18 days. So anyway, back to my comp. So once I've selected the properties that I want to show the client, why I'm coming up with like what I came up with. So we have the tax monsoon thing comp. We have, and again, that's just kind of a general number. So you know some things different than this is showing, Brian. So that's where you're going to have to come in and value it. I'm going to go to the selected ones. Now, granted, this one is a little bit less, you know, time-wise, you would go in here, you would like look at the photos, get a feel for, you know, what these properties have versus what the property that you're going to be looking at has. So you want to get familiar with these, why they got what they got. So, you know, 287 up to 340, I mean, that's a big difference.
Right.
I mean, it looks nice. It looks like they've got some updates. So you're going to go through, I wonder if those are virtual staging. Sorry, I scrolled a little bit there. No, I guess it's not. You know, they've updated bathrooms, you can see. So those are the things that you're going to, and this one does have a pool, so that you're going to utilize to make it work. I think that is a virtual staging thing. Once you have the ones that you're going to utilize, this is where I now come over here and hit CMA. So I've done my search. These are the properties that are most fit, and I'm going to come over here and hit CMA. And I want to use selected. I just want to use those 7. So it's going to come here. I want to do a full CMA. It's going to be based on the square footage. This is kind of automatically defaulted. What you might need to do prior to doing this is go to your profile here and make sure that you have like your photo in here, your information, because that's what's going to flow onto this first page of the CMA. So you're going to hit next step. This is the cover page of the CMA. It's going to, I don't usually type anything in this. I just kind of leave it. I'll put like the address, test address, or whatever the address is, right? Hey. Then hit next step. I think the only time I've really ever typed anything in that comments is if I had to send it off to like somebody who doesn't live in the state or something like that. But for the most part, I leave that blank and then I take it with me and talk about it. So this is the subject property. Now we know that this property already had a listing, right? We know that it sold whenever. So I'm going to grab this MLS number from the old listing, copy it, come back over to CMA, see where it says auto populate from existing listing / old listing. I'm going to paste that number in there. So it's going to pull in, for one, the photo of when they bought it, but mainly all of these details here: number of bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, lot size, and the year built. So sometimes if it's an older listing, I think Michelle, yours had an MLS, so it should fill that stuff in. Sometimes if it's a real old listing, it might not have like the lot size, and you might have to put that in there. So once you have that information, just hit next step. If you don't have it and it's brand new, you have to plug it in yourself. Sorry. These are the properties that you selected. It's going to give you there. You're going to hit next step. So I don't do anything with this part here. This is like if I were an appraiser or something and I wanted to adjust to make it fit what I needed to fit. Like say my property has a pool and property A does not have a pool, but everything else is comparable. I would do a positive adjustment of say 10 grand so that it kind of comes out at the end. So because I'm not an appraiser, I don't want to assume numbers and the values and things. I just leave this blank. So that's what I recommend you can do or not. So I'm going to go down to next step, just leave that step blank. This is the summary detail page. So this is for your analytic type sellers. It's going to say the summary of the closed listings, all the square footages, the price per square foot, Michelle.
Yeah. Yeah.
The sold date, sold price. It's going to show anything under contract backup. Basically active, and then it's going to come with the average price, median price, foreclosed, which in this case, 311, right around 310. So, you know, depending on what, Brianne, depending on how much he paid that shop, you know, it may not be dollar for dollar, but he might be able to get up to 350. I mean, it just depends on how the property looks. So
Right.
you'll have to kind of use your own on that. So this, again, this is just a summary page. So hit next step. This gives you what the system recommends. I don't show this page to the client because then they get tied up on numbers. So this next step here is going to allow us to choose what we want to show to the client. So here is the final finished piece, the cover page. I do want the street map of the subject property and the comparables. I want the description, and I want this side-by-side comparison. You can leave search parameters. That's just showing, you know, your square footages and things like that. But right here where it says statistical summary, I don't want these two here. I do want that statistical summary. That's hard to say if you're talking real fast. I just don't want these charts to end this listing price recommendation because they get so caught up in, oh, well, the MLS said it should be this, unless you really know that that's a really good price. Otherwise, I try not to do it and just let the comp do the talking. Down here, we didn't do any adjustments, so I'm just going to deselect that or any of this price per calculation. But what I do want to do, include listing details. So this is for the properties that are compared. So click this button and I want to show listing details with photos. The system is only going to print one page with the first 6 photos. So unfortunately, we don't have an option, or I haven't figured it out yet on how to determine which photos I want to be presented. So once you have this, you want all listings, you're going to download as a PDF. I'll download it and see if I'll have to share the screen. So while that's downloading, do you have any questions on that? And again, I'm recording this so you can go back through it.
No.
Good?
Yep, good.
Yep, I'm good.
All right. So I'm going to open this and then I have to reshare that screen. See, I learned something new. A new share. Which would be this one. Share. So you can see my PDF.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So here we are. It has the address. This information here, if you go into your MLS and you're able and you change your profile and stuff, this information will show up. Here's the map they like to see. Here's their house, where these properties are. This green is the under contract backup, which is technically considered active in the MLS. Here's the actual properties it's going to show. Subject property. Here's what it's showing on there. And then the side by side. So this is kind of what you want to show your seller is it's going to show, obviously the distance, we already know it's like within a quarter mile, but it's going to show the original list price is what it started at. This list price, which is kind of strange that it's now higher in this case, is actually going to be the last price it was before they got an offer. And if it sold, it will show the sold price. And then when it closed, how many days on market, how many days from the time it got listed until it went pending. So it could have went UCB for a couple of days and then pending, because UCB still continues to add days on market. So even so, 11 days is pretty darn good. It's going to show down here the comparable to the subject property over here. So we've got 3 to 3, 3/4 bath versus 1, very similar on everything. So you're just going to go piece by piece through these with your client. It's going to have the second page again. Here's the subject property, and here's the closed, days on market, the pricing and things like that. And the final one, this is the UCB one.
So
and
Diane, that first one on that first page, there was 2 that sold at the higher price. Are people just paying more, like the 344?
You know what they do? Yeah, Sorry, where'd my page go? What I think happens on that, the original list price versus where it came in at, I think that when they get multiple offers, in order for I think they're playing a game that they get multiple offers and they accept an offer over whatever the listed price was, and they accept that offer, they typically will then change the price in the system to that higher price so that the appraiser sees that that's where it was listed at. It's kind of a trick, which looks like that's probably what they did here. They accepted a 287 price. They changed the price to 287. I imagine if we went to that MLS and looked at the history, you would see where they did that.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, then tell me, but I think that that's accurate. So anyway, so you're going to go line by line through those and tell them what it is. It's going to, here's that one analysis, statistical analysis. Say that real quick, right? You got that. Some engineer kind of type people might want that. I think, Michelle, your guys sounded like they might like this one.
Yeah.
And then it's going to have the detail of each property. So I've got this Los Arboles, and you can see down here if they need to see anything. So there was a closing cost assistance of $1,000, list price, sold price, and then here's the first 6 pictures, which can be good. A lot of times if the pictures are decent and it's showing like upgrades in kitchens or floorings and stuff like that, and you're sitting in front of your seller at their house and it's like laminate and all that crap, you can go, see, this is why they got more than the price. But you have to hope that the pictures are good. So it's going to have each of those, the pictures. So I usually will print this color printer, single page, not, back front to back, because then it gets kind of wonky. And then present that when you go to the listing presentation, or if you already have had it, you can just email it to them and talk over the phone, however you want to do it. But so that's how I have the comp summary, which is the tax summary that I take over there, and the CMA. So, okay, we're good on time still. So I'm going to switch from CMA to estimated net sheet. Any questions real quick on the CMA stuff?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, cool.
It's helpful that
go-
you're recording it.
What's that?
It's
That I'm
helpful.
recording it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that would kind of make
Yeah,
life a
I'll
little bit
definitely
easier.
watch this again.
Yeah. You can stop me and start me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like the calculator thing in MLS, although Lisa Macbeth's Security Title has Security Pro, where you can plug it in and make it look pretty and all that fancy stuff. But I just kind of do what it is. So again, in ARMLS, either in the menu, or I already have it up here under calculators, but in the menu in ARMLS, down somewhere, here it is. Where'd it go? Oh, I think I need to I'll get out of that menu. I don't need to save that. Sorry. Calculators, click on that. I'm going to leave that page. I'm not going to save that CMA. It's going to bring you to this calculation reports, and you go to closing cost estimator. Click on this. So this is something that you want to provide to your seller as well. You're going to hit new and just type it in. Seller, seller's name, obviously you wouldn't put seller. All you want to do is display the seller summary. So unselect the buyer summary on here. Put the address, 123 Main Street. I'm going quickly, sorry. Anything with this star is what you want to fill in. So we're going to say it's 350. We listed it Monday. We got an offer accepted by Friday. Closing date is going to be 30 days later. This is just more hypothetical at this point. We'll do the 14th. Because there's a holiday in there, it's going to give a couple days. Property taxes, so you come up to the monsoon, this tax page, tax assessment history right here. You're going to go to the last one that has a number. So in 2019, it was 1401. We don't have the 2020 tax roll yet. So you're going to put 1401. in the property tax. None of this other stuff, unless there is homeowners insurance, you don't need to put that. The only other thing I usually will put is HOA. In this case, it's not in an HOA. So it's not, right? Brianne, there's no HOA in this one, right?
I don't believe so.
I don't
Sorry.
think so either. Okay. But if there was, you would put that amount in there. Then you come down here. Now, I'm representing the seller here. I do not put anything about payoffs, even though the seller might say, well, and in this case for Brianne's, it's cash anyway, unless they've taken a loan out. But if there, and well, it is with yours, Michelle, too, right? So if there is a mortgage and they say, oh, well, our balance is blah, 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 just don't put anything in there. And at the end of the day, when we have this final number, just say, this number does not represent any liens you might have against the property. So leave these lines blank about this seller loan information. Summary of seller transaction, this 350 we already put in there. Obviously, there's none of this other stuff, adjustments. Estimated settlement charges. Right now, the system is estimating this. We have to add a couple things in there. Down, 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 down. The main thing is you want to put the broker's commission. Now, this is the full commission. So if you're charging 5% or 6% or 4.5% or 5.5% or whatever, you're going to put that full amount here, because the seller pays the entire commission, and then it splits however you're splitting it on your listing agreement. The loan stuff is buyer stuff, so it's not going to show anything here anyway. And then it's going to come down to right here, this title fees. So the title policy, the seller pays for the initial owner's title policy. A buyer pays for their lender title policy. So that's why you'll see that. And it is based on the purchase price. The escrow fee is split half and half. Now, this is in MLS, so I don't know. I think this is just an average of escrow fees because they're not set either, although I believe that they're within a range depending on the title company. But the escrow fees is going to be twice this amount. The seller pays half, the buyer pays half. You've got recording fees. Actually, I believe those are $60 now, but whatever, $10 doesn't matter. You can add stuff here, like if the house is on a septic, the seller has to pay for the septic inspection. So you might want to put some numbers in here. They don't do inspections, blah, blah, blah. There might be transfer fees if it's in an HOA, or they're going to pay for a home warranty. A lot of times people ask for a home warranty to be paid, so I just kind of throw that in there. So that at the end of the day, it comes down to total settlement charges, which is including all the commissions. For the most part, outside of any liens that the title company might find out, this is going to be pretty accurate. So once I have that, then I save it, because sometimes it goes wonky and changes some numbers, and then I can hit PDF. And it's going to open in this PDF. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so far so
No.
good. So it's going to open in. This is going to be the final result. So it's a kind of nice and handy. You're going to have obviously your good information there. Sales price, the total estimated settlement charges. It's going to prorate taxes based on those closing dates and stuff. So total estimated cash to seller in this case is $329,105. Again, unless there's any liens against the property, and then it breaks out what those costs are here.
Diane, when you present this to the client, this will change, obviously, right? I mean, do you just say
change by a little bit? It shouldn't change by a lot, unless.
Okay, so this is pretty accurate then.
Yeah, within some a couple $100 maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I tell them that, this, and it says right down here about estimated.
Okay.
Estimator.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to know the final, but that gets them as close as they need to be. Sure. Obviously, if the sales price is off, or if the closing date is different, it's going to change this tax. It's going to prorate taxes different. Same if there were an HOA involved in there, it would show prorated HOA stuff that could change things by a couple $100. So yeah, there's going to be some things going on there that will change this. And you can, like, if you have once you get an offer and you know some of these, they're asking for you to pay this and home warranties and blah, 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 blah. You know, they're even asking for seller concession. You can add this into it. You can open this back up and add the new stuff in there so it comes up with a cleaner number. So I print this. I print 2 of these, one for my file and one for them when I go on the listing, or you can email it to them or whatever. You're seeing this screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, make sure which share I was doing. Okay, so that's the estimator. The last thing I wanted to do real quick is show what documents and stuff need to go with it. So I am going to go back over to this screen, I think. Nope. Hold on. Maybe this screen. Okay. So I have, oh, I do need to change screens. I have 3 different documents that I can send you both. Brianne, you might already have them. Hold on. Let me bring up my windows. Okay. So I have 3 different Word docs. One of them is this one here, the seller consultation. So I have a client folder. If you've already talked with your client, or you know, they're just, it's kind of more casual or not, you don't always have to do all this, but this is some of the stuff that I put in and provide to them. Security Title has a security title branded selling a home in Arizona. You can get from Lisa. I might have some generic ones at the office. Right now I have some of mine that are branded. If you have your own listing consultation, I need to update this because I don't think we use eEdge. There is a command in command. There is a listing presentation that you can go in and modify. Whether or not you utilize that, that's up to you. I have like a Why Choose Me flyer. I can send that to you it's a Word document. You can modify it to match yourself. It just kind of talks about who I am and what I do. There's also, I have this pre-sale inspection checklist, basically for the client to go through the house and, you know, look under their sinks, you know, see if there's any repairs that might need to be done. Kind of what main things that an inspector finds during an inspection that a buyer might ask them to correct. The estimated net sheet, which we just did in MLS. The seller's property disclosure statement, you want to provide with them. I provide them a blank one. Tell them to fill it out, sign it, and scan it back to me. And then the HOA addendum, page 1 only. Now, I know, Brianne, this one isn't in an HOA. Michelle, that one probably, is that one in an HOA?
No, it's not.
Okay, so neither one, you have to worry about that one. But when you do have one that's in an HOA, you just want page 1 to be completed by the seller. Get all the details about the HOA and give that back to you. So this is stuff that's going to be in the client, you know, fancy, whether you go to Office Max and get some presentation folders and put a little sticker on it with your name on it, or I have some at the office. They are $1 a piece because I had to pay $1 a piece for them, the kind of the fancy Keller Williams ones. But provide something for your client. So this is what I would put in there. And then my folder, my manila folder, are the documents that I'm going to have them sign and keep myself. So real estate agency and election, I'm going to go quickly into Docusign and show you where all these are. The exclusive right to sell, you don't want the exclusive agency, it's very different. Wire fraud advisory for the seller, and the seller, asking the seller to get their insurance loss history up front so you have that available once you have an offer. So I can send you this. I then have a seller's transaction checklist. So once I do get a listing, I put this on the outside of my folder. I know Brianne knows how I do that, but
I do that now too.
Kind of gives, what was that?
I said I do that now too. It's
Yay.
helpful.
You know, I'm a paper person, but it gives me an idea of what I'm doing and when I'm doing it all. You can see here different things that you're going to be doing, and then whether or not I receive the spuds back, the loss history, obviously the HOA would be applicable. The other part on this is page 2. Once you do get an offer on your listing, this information is going to become important, and then you're going to kind of walk through that offer now, the transaction from a buyer side, they're getting they're opening escrow, they're doing their inspections, you have to provide them the spuds. Did you provide the spuds and the insurance history to the client, Brianne? For your
Yes.
buyer on that property?
Uh-huh.
Okay. That reminded me about that.
I know.
So, yeah, you're just,
I did it beforehand, so it was helpful to like already have it.
oh, good. So yeah, you'll see all that. I can send that to you as well, Michelle. And then the final one I have on here is just a regular buyer. I can send this to you as well, Michelle, because I know you mentioned that they were going to go out and buy a property. So once you have a contract on a buyer, here's kind of the steps on what you need to do.
I'm still just seeing your manila folder list.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
What do you see now?
Manila
Same.
folder.
Oh, it doesn't go with me as I change. Oh, well, that sucks. I thought I could just do. Okay, so I got the folder. So here is the seller transaction checklist that I was just talking that you couldn't see.
Okay.
Page 1, page 2, once you have an offer, and then the final one is the buyer transaction, kind of the same thing, but buyer side.
And you'll send that to us?
I will send all three of
Okay.
those to you. I think, Brianne, you have them, but I'll send them again.
Okay.
Okay, so the final thing I want to finish up with is going to be the Docusign, which is pretty quick. I'm not going to go through the opportunity side of it, but just as a general rule, not general, it is a rule, you have to have the clients already added as contacts within Command to create, in order to create the opportunity. So let me share back my this page, I think. So let's see if I got the re-sign back in. So there's 2 ways that you can get to Docusign. If you have already started the transaction, meaning you created the opportunity, and Michelle, that could be, I don't know how comfortable you are with that part, but if you're not, that's a whole different side. But once you create the opportunity and you're in the document section of opportunities, there's a button that says start transaction, which takes you into and creates a room in Docusign.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So the other way, if you already have the room created, you can just go to realestate.docusign.com.
Okay.
You don't have to go through it, get to it through the opportunity. So
Okay.
I have this little test. So I'm going to go to my room, pretend like it just created this. And I now need to find my documents. The first tab that's going to open is this details. Now from a listing side, back into opportunities, in the details tab in the opportunity, there's detail on the left-hand side about the client and stuff. And then there's detail on the right-hand side. One of the little edit buttons says property. So you want to add the property address in there. And so when you start the transaction, or you update, I think it says update something, it will pull in here in this details section. If I hit edit, it should pull in here the address. If it doesn't, you need to put the property address. You're going to put the seller's name, any information you have about the seller, email over on this right-hand side, all while filling as much information out on the left-hand side that you can. I offer details now. So you have seller 1, seller 2, listing agent would be yourself. So you're going to put that, your company. There isn't a listing agent 2, but then it has buyer. If you have, once you have a contract, you can put the buyer's names in there, and it will fill some stuff out. And then always make sure you hit save down here at the bottom. So you'll hit save. So once you've done that, just make sure you do that first off. You make sure all the details are accurate before you go over to documents. So once you select documents, over here where it says add, from Docusign, there's actually, if you go to Docusign Forms group, there's actually a residential listing, which makes it a lot easier than trying to figure out which ones I need to use. So you're going to select that, and for the most part, everything is here. You really don't need addendum. You're going to click exclusive right. You don't need the lead-based paint, but you do need the agency disclosure. Here's the seller's disclosure statement. You do need this transaction management new file request. That's just internal, and then the wire fraud. So you're going to select all those things, hit add. It's going to pull them all in here, and then see where it says form right there in front of the document. That just means that it's data entry. Once you create something and you send it out to be signed and it comes back, it will then be green and says sign, but you'll also have another copy of it that says form. So if you needed to go back and make changes or something, you could. So now these are the documents that you would need. You would just click on them, fill out the details. Once you have the details of the documents that you need, select the radial button, go to this Docusign. That's where it will create the envelope. And the main thing on here, the reason that you put like the seller 1, seller 2, is once it creates the envelope and you've created the stuff. I'm trying to chat while this loads up. There's a portion in here where it says add recipient. If you hit pre-tagged roles and select your seller, I don't have a seller, just something, then any of those documents like the listing agreement, it's automatic, the system, when you go to this next section, to the actual Docusign where you want people to sign, as long as it's not a flat PDF form, it will automatically assign initials and signatures in the spots where the seller needs to sign. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, that's kind of my quick, we went 4 minutes over. That was pretty quick. Do you have any last minute questions? And I'll find where this Zoom thing is going to, I'm going to stop sharing now, unless you have a question on something.
I think I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just rewatch this, I'm sure.
Okay. Sure. I can't even get back to my Zoom screen. I just got to figure out how to make sure that I record it. Okay. Then
Thanks, Diane.
you're welcome. You guys go out and have a wonderful day, and we'll talk at y'all later.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Stop share. Stop recording.